do you think of my pants?
What the?
You like them?
What did you do to it?
You're gonna wear them like that, right?
Do you like them?
Yeah. They're so short.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they are.
I'm SD, and in this video, I'm gonna show you how you can take your chino pants and turn them into chino shorts. How? It's really easy. I don't really like long intros though. Let's do this. The very first step that we are gonna wanna take is we're gonna get all of our materials together. We're gonna need a sewing machine. We're gonna need some sewing pins. We're gonna need some fabric scissors, emphasis on fabric scissors. Don't just be going in your junk drawer and grabbing any random pair of scissors that you find. And make sure that they're fabric scissors, or you're using multi-purpose scissors that you only use on fabric. And we also need, we need a measuring tape too. What we ended up doing on this channel is we took a dress shirt and we tailored everything about it. We cut and ripped and replaced everything about that shirt. We took in the side seams, we added some darts, and we ended up cutting the sleeves off too. And it is my favorite summer shirt right now, but I ran into a problem. I wanted to pair it with a pair of shorts instead of a pair of chinos. I went to the Gap, they didn't have my size. I went to Old Navy, they didn't have my size. I went to Express, and they were just closed. So by default, I guess they didn't have my size. So I'm like, this is stupid. Why don't I just take the chinos that I already tailored to fit me perfectly and make those into shorts? Well, how do we do that? We want to figure out, well, how long do we want our shorts to be? And this part can be a little bit tricky. The reason why it's tricky is because we have to tread carefully. If we make these shorts too long, it's gonna look so stupid. We're gonna be wearing like safari shorts. Like we're gonna be like traveling through the Serengeti showing people giraffes and rhinoceroses and hippopotamuses. Hip hop anonymous? And if they're too short, well, SD's gonna be wearing some booty shorts up in here. We want to avoid both of those scenarios, and the easiest way to avoid that scenario, or both of those scenarios, is, well, we gotta measure. How are shorts measured? This is how shorts are measured. This middle seam right here that runs by the Franken beans, that is appropriately named, well, the crotch seam. And when you go shopping for shorts, what you're gonna notice is that they're gonna say things like a 9-inch inseam, or a 10-inch inseam, or an 11-inch inseam. Well, that's just the distance down your leg from your crotch seam down your inseam. Got it? I got a pair of shorts from Target that are just a wee bit too short. The inseam, it's like 9 inches and it looks totally fine. I like the shorts a lot. They look fine with a t-shirt, but if you try and like make it a little bit more professional as opposed to more casual, they're just too short for that. Ends up being all like business up top and casual down below. So instead of 9 inches, I'm going to do about 9.5 inches. But whoa, hang on a second. What are we working with down here? What about this cuff? See, at the very bottom of your chinos, well, it's got all this extra stuff down here. This is your stitch. And then if you look on the underside, you've got more fabric under there. Well, what about that? We have to add that to our measurement too, right? Yup. So the easiest way to do that, and well, the only way to do that, to be honest, is we're gonna take our measuring tape and we're gonna figure out what this length is. This length is 1 inch. We have to keep that in mind. Don't let me forget that we gotta add 1 inch to all of this, all this stuff that we got going on right here, right? Okay, good. So now let's take our measuring tape and we're gonna go up to the crotch seam up here and we're gonna go down, what did I say, about 9.5 inches? Okay, yup, well that's right there. Now we have to add on another inch, so we're gonna do 10.5 inches. And now we're gonna take a sewing pin and we're gonna mark that place right there. Boop. Hardest part is done, is figuring out where we want to make this line. Now that we actually know where we want this line to be, we can cut it now, right? Well, we want it to be a bit more precise. So for this step, you can take anything at all. You can take a book, you could take a ruler, you could take anything that's straight and is hard and like won't lose its shape at all, get your head out of the gutter. I'm gonna use the instruction manual for my Brother ST371 sewing machine. No, that's not a shameless plug. I just had it sitting right over there and I saw it and I was like, well, I don't feel like going upstairs to go grab anything. So I'm so lazy. What we want to work with and what we want to do is we want to make this line straight across here, right? Yes, we do. But don't panic. It's a lot easier than you think that it is, because if we make it, let's say we make it like that. See, it's kind of crooked. We can work around that because we're tucking under the fabric. We're working with an additional inch down here, and that additional inch is going to be tucked under, and we're going to put a straight stitch right through it. So if it's crooked, maybe not that much, but if it's crooked like that, we can work around it by tucking it in evenly, and then nobody will ever know that I had like I don't know, that I was like shaking when I was cutting it or something. I don't know. And now that I have this line here, I can get that instruction manual out of the way. And what we can do is we could also work with that. We've got some tailor's chalk here. I don't use tailor's chalk pretty much, well, ever. If you want to use something like this and you want to draw a line on here, well, you can do that. Watch. We can just do something like that. We're going to put little marks right where these sewing pins are here. And now that we got a good chalk mark there, we can remove our pins. Their job is done. And with this line here, don't panic, don't worry. Remember, this part, it's getting tucked under. So despite the fact that I have some lines on my pants here, it really doesn't matter at all. Will you do me a favor and will you make a tally of the number of times that I've said crotch and tuck under in this video? The only thing that I'm missing is duct tape, because, you know, you take the duct tape and you get it. And now, the moment of truth. Time to cut these bad boys. Whoa, hang on. I'm gonna make sure again, you're using fabric scissors, right? You didn't just go in your utility drawer to just go grab some random pair of scissors thinking you'd just be cutting through your clothes with it, right? Do not do that. I can't stress that enough. Make sure that you use quality scissors for something like this. Otherwise, your fabric is gonna get all frayed, you're gonna have snags, and you are just not going to be happy, and you're gonna say to yourself, well, why didn't I just, I don't know, why don't I just go buy some shorts? So here we go. Now that we made this cut, what we want to do is we want to flip our shorts, or our pants / shorts, inside out. And since we have an additional inch down here, we want to come up by an inch because we're going to fold this part down here. We're going to fold it up. So let's grab some sewing pins and our measuring tape. And we got 1 inch right there. So I'm going to put a little pin there so that I just know that that's where that spot is. And now I want to fold up this part right there so that it hits right at that pin. And now I can remove this pin and I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it back right at the top right there. And then I'm going to make sure everything is nice and even, and I'm going to continue on with these pins. Just keep pinning up all the way around. When you get to the side seam on the very side of your ports here, you want to make sure that everything is nice and flat. You don't have any wrinkles in there because it's really easy to get things kind of wrinkled up with that seam there. Right here, I came down a little bit far. It's not gonna be an issue, but if I continue on with this angle that I'm working at as I'm pinning this, it's gonna get worse. So I'm gonna pull up or kind of move that down just a bit so that everything is nice and even. A little bit more, nice and even. Perfect, there we go. And before you move on from this step, take it and kind of pull it and see if you notice any imperfections as far as your pinning goes. Everything should look nice and flat and uniform when you pull it. You shouldn't see any wrinkles. You shouldn't see any kind of imperfections like that. If you do, that means your fabric isn't in the right spot and the pin is holding it in that incorrect spot, so it's pulling your fabric down, causing some wrinkles. But this looks pretty good. And take a look at the orientation of my pins too. Take a look at the direction that they're going in. Make your pins look like this because it's going to save you so many headaches when we go and put a straight stitch on this bad boy. If you want to use an iron to iron that seam down to make sure that it stays in place, you can totally do that. It's just not something that I did. It's not something that I normally do, but if you're comfortable with doing that and you want to do that, by all means, absolutely do so. And that being said, let's go ahead and do that now. So I've got my ports all ready to rock and roll here on the end of my sewing machine. Your sewing machine has an attachment on the end of it that's actually removable, so we can put our ports right on the end of it. But normally what you use that part for is to do things like hem jeans, which we've done on this channel before, and we've done it one of two ways. One, we did the professional hem method, and we did the, I can't give the middle finger, we did the new hem method, both of which are down in the description. They're both really easy, so go check them out. We're doing a straight stitch, 2.5 millimeters. The reason why we're doing it at 2.5 millimeters is because that's the length of a standard stitch as you would get it from the store. We're also using a universal needle, 80-12. We're using polyester thread, and we're gonna be starting our stitch right on this seam right here. The reason for that is because we want to use a back stitch to lock in our stitch before we start going. And we're just gonna be able to hide it right there. Nobody's gonna know that it's there besides you and me. And the 1.7 million other people who've now watched this video, because, well, 1.7 because you shared it on all your socials and you shared it on Reddit, right? And last thing before we get going on this bad boy is this is my seam guide. I'm gonna make sure that my pants are lined up with the seam guide. I'm not gonna be looking at the needle. I'm gonna make sure the edge is lined up with these lines. That's gonna make my stitch perfectly straight. And take your time. There's no reason to rush through this. Just go slow. So this is the finished product right here, a perfectly straight stitch all the way across. We came into a little bit of an issue right here where the seam right here, it kind of caused me to rotate my pants ever so slightly when I made the turn here. So it kind of tucks down and it dips up just a hair. But the good thing about this is the inside inseam right here, so nobody in a million years would ever notice. The only way anyone would ever notice something like this is if they were this close to my pants, and if somebody was this close to my pants, we'd be having some issues. Now for finishing this seam down here, as you can see, it's already starting to fray on us, but that's okay. I'm not gonna touch this because I like it the way that it is. You can put a zigzag stitch over the edge of this to finish it off. So that's definitely an option if you want to finish this seam. Iron everything down when you're done and you will be just good to go. Now we tailored the perfect summer dress shirt already. Well, let's say you don't want to wear a dress shirt, you want to wear a nice fitted summer tailored t-shirt instead. Let's go do that. It's in the end card. I'll see you on the other side. SD out. See ya.